Greetings everyone and welcome back to the RobeTheMatoran channel, and today we're finally looking at the BarrakI, and these guys look insane. So this might be a longer video than expected because since they're all unanimously so unique, I have to look at them individually, so that's what I plan to do in this video. They all range in having different piece counts, that Prek having the lowest and Takado having the most, but I'll dive into that when I get in depth with the models. And they all once retail for $9 simple dollars. Now, if you want to get them brand new, they vary in price. They're like, each depends on which one you're getting. It can go from like used 20 something dollars, and the other price is like 80 to 100 for Elac. These the most expensive because of his lime green pieces, and oh boy, got a lot to say for that, but that will be when I get to him. So let's go ahead and get into this. The BarrakI are warlords and once leaders of the League of Six Kingdoms. They were at one point banished to the pit where they were transformed by the mutagen and transformed to abnormal creatures of the deep. After they escaped, they sought to claim the Mass of Life, which had evidently wound up in Marinui. With that finally out of the way, let's now dive in and give a full review. First up is 8916 Takado, and has 62 pieces, and his design is pretty obviously unique. Obviously all the designs are unique, but I would say this one is definitely the more kind of weirder ones. Okay, obviously all of them are weird, but regardless, the point is that he has a really good color scheme with the nice dark blue, translucent blue, and the lighter, not quite iridescent blue, but the weird kind of murky blue like armor and head piece or whatever. So he has that going for him, and he has the huge blades for his arms, and he looks like a mantis. Yeah, which is, I forgot to mention that they have like just like what they are. They're based, the animal they're based from, which Takado is based from a mantis, which you can kind of tell with how he's posed and everything. But okay, pretty good design for the most part. Now, the only thing I don't like is just how thin he is, and I guess that's kind of the point. He looks like what he is, but I don't know. I guess, you know, it's a very spindly kind of look I'm not too fond of, but it definitely evokes what he's trying to look like. So it's, you know, good on them for that. But I just think I always like the builds a bit more bulky, but it doesn't need to be bulky. It's a nitpick, but yet it's not. It's kind of like somewhere in between. So I like it, and then I don't. He has these weird thorn spikes that sticks out. So he does have a red, like, I guess, what would you call that? Accent color. So it does kind of goes with his red eyes. So that's something interesting. I mean, I don't care for the little mini thorns, but it's okay. And also, he can glow in the dark. I just didn't show that, but he can glow in the dark, so that's a really cool thing about him. But next up is 8917 Kalma, and his piece count is 53, and he's definitely one of my favorites. He's like my second favorite out of the group, and he looks really good. I definitely like his color scheme. His color scheme is very consistent, that he has the red and black, and the only thing that's not too good is his weapon, his weird squid thing, and also he's known as the Squid, I should mention that. And he has this squid tentacle thing. He has two of them on his left hand, so that's pretty cool. And you know, he can move around, he can do, you can kind of stretch it and kind of mess around with it, but you can't really like kind of like have it like malleable and be like put it in an angle. So it's kind of like a one single motion kind of thing. But other than that, he has a standard Barrak build, which that is kind of a con, but not. I mean, if you don't like the Barrak build, then it's a con. But if you do, then whatever you want to feel about that. So of course, he has the standard articulation, and I guess this will be a good time to mention about the squid launcher. I mean, he's the only one I have the example for with the squid launcher, and because I don't think you need to see the squid launcher 6 times of how it works. It's pretty up in the air how it works. Either you get it one time, you pull it back, and then you shoot it, or it either goes, you know, 4 feet or 4 feet. Either it goes 4 inches or 5 feet across. It's kind of finicky with that, so not too crazy about those. I think that's one of the worst things ever. And it kind of clashes with most of them because it's just silver and it's just like kind of random. And the squirt launcher doesn't go to either because at least the one I had was blue, and I guess it doesn't look too great. But I guess I'm getting off topic. But he has a good design though. His design is really good. So now the main grievance I have is his armor is. It kind of flaps on the side, on his shoulders. It kind of flaps. He doesn't have a lot of armor on because, yes, he does have the Prek build, and he does not have any real, like, chest armor or anything, and I don't like that. It's a very flat chest kind of look, and it works for him, but it doesn't. I'm going to say it more doesn't than it actually does, because, like, he could use something extra on his, like, torso region, but they just kind of didn't give him much of anything, so, unfortunately, I feel like that's like kind of a major con because he has armor everywhere else, but just right on the chest, kind of where he needs it the most, he doesn't have anything. So, unfortunately, he's just a little flat chested to say the least. Next up is 8918 Karapar with 50 pieces, and he's actually my favorite one. Surprisingly, I know he's kind of like he's a bit derpy looking. I say derpy, but it's just because his head looks kind of funny, but regardless of that, I really do like the design. It's a Nika build actually, so I do like the Nika build actually, so it's a con for some people, but for me personally it is not. And he has a nice recolors of pieces, like he has the BarrakI legs in gray and along with the Roxy feet in gray and the Nika limbs in gray as well, so he has some gray recolors. If you like gray, you got it, and it's recolored pieces, so if you like that, which I don't mind too much, but regardless of that, his main color scheme is, well, I guess his armor, which is not even his main color scheme. His color scheme is really gray, yellow, and black, but his armor is this really weird yellowy bronzish kind of color. I like to call it dirty caramel, but I know in the comments it's going to tell me what the actual color is, but that's what I'm going to call it. So, dirty caramel it is. And it looks okay, but I think they could have went without the weird, dark, murky parts. I know it's supposed to kind of, I guess, remind you of seaweed. Oh yeah, he's also known as a crab. I kind of forgot about that, but he has a very, I guess it's kind of reminds you of seaweed, but it's like how murky and dark, kind of almost green it actually is. So, it's definitely a very interesting choice they chose to do, so I think it's kind of weird to do that. And I'm not going to show the articulation because I don't have the footage, but yes, he has the same articulation as the rest. Now, the one con I will say he has besides the color scheme is he has this huge gap in the chest where the chest armor is at. It's this huge, massive gap. It's a bit distracting once you kind of look at it and actually pose it around. So I will say it's a bit annoying to have that because like it could have just have something there, but unfortunately it doesn't. And his function is, besides the squid launcher, he has this claw pincer thing that he can have, and I think that's neat and I like how it works. Now the only thing I wish they would have done was give him a second one, like give him on both hands. Like, I don't know, find the squid launcher to put it somewhere else, but I think she had two like pincer things, kind of like an actual crab, which then it would kind of evoke a more crab-like look, but it's kind of hard to do that when you only have one claw. And 8919 Mantax with 58 pieces, and he is definitely my least favorite. Yeah, I don't like him. He is the worst one out of the bunch. I don't like him. And usually I tend to like the black Bionicles a lot because, I just happen to. A lot of times, usually I like the red ones. Don't get me wrong. I like the red ones, but the black ones, like, oh, it's a kind of a cool design. It's kind of nice. But for him, I just don't. He's based off of a stingray or manta ray. I'm gonna say stingray, but I just generally don't like his design. It's a very weird one because he has this really hunched look and he has his tail sticking out, which that's kind of cool. But other than that, I mean, the color scheme is good, of course, because it's just black, gray, and silver, and a little bit of red. So a solid color scheme, but his design is just kind of weak because his arms are very weird because it's just the BarrakI limbs with no armor, and then he has one Toa Metru arm in black, and then the other arm is just a Roxy limb. So it's a very unorthodox looking. His weapon is kind of the worst one I've seen. It's this tiny little baby pincer that could just pinch you, and it's just not very impressive or imposing looking. And his shoulder armor is just so huge that you could see everything, and it just kind of is like, I don't know, like he's like, he has like a, almost like he has like a really big shirt on, and they just didn't know what else to do. So he's had a really big shirt on, and he just had to put some on. And you know, the design is just not a very good design. He's definitely like the worst one out of the bunch. I don't like him. Next up, 8920 Elac. I don't know how you say his name, but he has 54 pieces, and he is definitely the most controversial one of them all. Not of design wise, but because of his pieces. Now, this is the year where the joints, particularly lime green, are horrific, because buying it brand new sealed will still not save you, because all the lime green joints will snap and break, and I don't know why they do that. I do not know the reason why they are so brittle, but they are particularly brittle. And in the Mari video, when that comes out, I will go and elaborate more on how brittle they really are. But until then, yeah, they are very brittle. They crack and they break, and it's really bad. And it's like, at a first use, they are horrible for mocking. But it's such a cool color. His color scheme is so good. His design is so good. Now he has like the little like technic angle beam, whatever you want to call that. It gives him a very thin kind of look. He looks like an eel, which that's his thing, the eel. And I think that it looks really good. I like the design. He has like these rubber spikes on the back, like 3 of them, and it fills him out. It makes him look makes him look cool. And it's just it's a nice design. It's definitely it's definitely a bright color scheme. He's very vibrant in color, but it sucks that lime green is so darn bad. It's like no good. Like, it is the worst I've ever seen on anything. I can't believe how bad it is. I hate that, but it is what it is on that. So unfortunately, I would recommend getting him brand new, sealed, if you can. If you can't, I do apologize. Last and certainly not least, we have 8921 Prek, and he has 47 pieces, which makes him the lowest piece count out of the group, which is interesting because this is the leader. This is the main one, which I think he has probably he's definitely has the sickest design. I mean, I said Karapara is my favorite, but I think Prek is my favorite. He looks so good. He looks so awesome. And he has a very interesting color scheme. For him to be like the quote-unquote white, like Bionicle villain, I guess, in this group, he has a lot of black and red. He has a touch of blue due to the eyes, even though in the promotional art, his eyes were red, which I think they only admitted that because I think possibly it just looked a little too scary for the kids. And yes, all the red marks, he's actually kind of controversial due to his red marking, because it's obviously supposed to be blood, and they had to say, oh no, it's not blood, it's just markings on him, that's just how he was made. But I'm like, come on, let's be real. He's based off a shark, and he has blood on his face, on his weapons. It's crazy how he looks. Actually, he has a really gnarly design, which he has an interesting point of articulation. He has he has kind of like a abdomen kind of articulation. You can make him kind of swim like a shark a little bit if you can do it right. And he has these really long feet. I've never seen that before. So do we see it again? I don't know. But it's really unique and really awesome looking. I think he has the best design, and he brings back the Toa Nuva arms in white, so I guess Takado pieces, but sick design, not too much to complain about it. He's just a little spindly, but nothing too harsh to say about him. Alright, and we have reached the end, the final thoughts. What do I think of the BarrakI? And I will say, for the most part, I think I like them Obviously, there's some crazy unique. Not a single one of them remind you of the other. So this is definitely the start of the more unique variants of things. There are no more clone sets for, honestly, I think the rest of Bionicle, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know for sure, but they're not gonna. Well, actually, the clone sets do kind of come back a little bit, but at least for the rest of 2007, there's not a single clone set. All of them are going to be unanimously different and unique, which it's a nice breath of fresh air from all the other years with everything being like a clone set of one another. It's like, oh wow, it's a different color, but basically the same thing. This is not the you have one, you have them all kind of thing. So that's a really nice and solid approach, which I definitely do appreciate. So, the BarrakI. The score I give these fine creatures of the dark, of the deep, I should say, creeps from the deep, I give them a 8-9, actually. So, I think they're really good, except for Mantax. I think he's the worst one. But, regardless of that, if he weren't there, it would just make the team look weird. So, he has to be there, and he looks okay when he's with the rest of them. But, other than that, I think an 8-9 is a pretty good score. I mean, they're really good. I recommend actually getting them. Like, legitimately get them. Like, if you're not even a completionist on Bionicle, I would still say pick these guys up because they're something to definitely get your hands on. Now, you can go either way which one you want, but I say you should get them all for then you get the full experience and then just have them all together. It's like, it's a really crazy and solid look once you have them all together, and I really do like that. So, 8-9. That is my score I give it. Tell me yours down in the comments. Let's get a discussion going even. Like, I want to talk about this. I want to know everyone's opinions on these guys. Like, legitimately. Let's, what do you think? But, yep, that will conclude this. And join me next time when I either do the Toamari or Nocturne. I don't know which one I'm going to do, but either one, just stay tuned. Thank you all so much for watching. Maybe consider subscribing if you feel like. And I will bid you all adieu.
Dare you enter the deep? Dare you face the creeps? Bionicle presents 6 new BarrakI creatures whose like you've never seen. They sharpen their teeth, polish their shells, and are so pleased to meet you. Armed with a powerful long-range squid shooter, these BarrakI mean business. New BarrakI from Bionicle. Each set sold separately.